She announced, "I can't stay with you, he makes me feel complete," and disappeared fast. For a second, I honestly thought she was joking. We were in the middle of the living room, TV still paused on some Netflix documentary about mushrooms, one of her socks half off, my mug of tea on the coffee table still steaming. The sentence hung in the air between us like something misdelivered, like it had been meant for another conversation in another apartment with another guy. Her face didn't match her words at first, her mouth tight, her eyes flicking everywhere but mine, like she was reading cue cards over my shoulder. Then she grabbed the overnight bag I hadn't even noticed by the door, slung it over her shoulder, and turned. I heard the zipper on her jacket before I registered what was happening. "Wait, Mia," I stepped forward, my hand instinctively reaching for her arm. I didn't grab her, just brushed the sleeve of her denim jacket with my fingers. Her body flinched like I was a static shock. Up close I could smell her perfume mixed with that cold outside smell, and something unfamiliar and expensive I couldn't name. My chest did this weird collapsing thing, like someone had knocked the air out of me, but I was still technically breathing. My ears were ringing. A hallway light flickered once as she moved under it, and some stupid part of my brain latched onto the idea that if I changed the bulb, maybe everything else would go back to normal too. Instead, she pulled the door open in one smooth movement, said "I'm sorry" without looking at me, and walked out. The door clicked shut with ridiculous politeness. I stood there staring at the wood grain, fingers still curled around air where her arm had been, my tea going cold behind me, wondering how the hell I'd just become the guy someone left for their missing puzzle piece. We'd been together 5 years. I'm 31M, she's 30F, and yeah, I'm posting this here because my friends are all either in smug couples or in relationships that last 3 weeks, and every time I try to explain what happened I end up sounding crazy even to myself. I keep replaying that sentence, "He makes me feel complete." It sits in my chest like a brick. I didn't even know she felt incomplete. Her name is Mia. The first time I saw her, she was standing on a chair in the break room at work, trying to change the clock. This was 3 jobs ago for me, when I was still a junior marketing exec at a mid-sized company that sold lifestyle water bottles, which basically meant normal water bottles with words like Radiance and Tribe printed on them. I was the guy who did email campaigns and A/B tests, the kind of work that lives in a spreadsheet and dies in promotions nobody remembers. I walked in for my second week on the job, and there she was, 1 foot on the chair, 1 foot on the counter, tongue poking out in concentration as she jabbed at the cheap plastic buttons on the wall clock. Someone had taped a piece of paper below it that said, "Do not touch, facilities will fix," and she'd peeled it halfway off. "If you fall and break your neck, I am not writing that incident report," I said, because my brain defaults to sarcasm when confronted with strangers on furniture. She startled, spinning her head toward me. From my angle I got a perfect view of her smudged eyeliner and the tiny silver hoop in her nose. "If I fall and break my neck, I'm haunting whoever wrote 'facilities will fix' and then didn't," she shot back. "This thing is 35 minutes slow. It's giving me a complex." "You know we all have phones, right?" I said, holding mine up. "Phones are liars," she said. "Wall clocks are universal truth." "You're literally standing on a chair to tamper with truth," I said. She grinned, and something in my chest did a small flip. "Help me down, spreadsheet boy," she said, gesturing with the clock. "That is a strong assumption," I replied, but I moved closer anyway, hands out. She stepped down, light and quick, and for a second her hands were on my shoulders and her hair brushed my cheek. She smelled like coffee and some kind of citrus shampoo. "Thanks," she said, hopping off the chair. "I'm Mia. I do content and vibes, according to my contract." "Leo," I said. "I do campaign performance and whatever my boss doesn't want to do." She laughed. "Nice to meet you. Whatever my boss doesn't want to do, now we can suffer together." That was how it started. Not fireworks, not soulmates, just 2 people bonding over corporate bullshit and a broken clock. Mia was one of those people who filled a room without trying. Not in an obnoxious way, more like she was always a little bit more in focus than everything else. She talked with her whole body, her hands drawing invisible shapes in the air, her eyebrows narrating entire stories. She never walked into the office empty-handed, always carrying a plant to repot, or a new snack to force everyone to try, or a stack of printouts because digital calendars didn't vibe with her brain. Over the next few weeks, we gravitated toward each other. Lunches turned into afternoon coffee runs, inside jokes about our boss's obsession with synergy, swapping playlists over Slack. She'd spin her chair toward me like a kid whenever she needed feedback on a tagline. "Is Hydrate Your Hustle the worst thing you've ever read?" she asked one afternoon, poking her head over our monitors. "It's up there," I said, "like top 5. "Good," she said. "I knew I could trust you." I liked that she didn't treat me like a walking stats machine. She'd ask my opinion on stupid things like Instagram captions and packaging colors, then actually listen. When she got stressed, she'd come perch on the edge of my desk and talk through her ideas until they made sense again. "She's into you," our mutual coworker Sam said one day in the kitchen, as we watched Mia dance badly while waiting for her toast. "She's like that with everyone," I said, but my ears went hot. "Not like that," Sam replied. "She actually remembers your coffee order." I shrugged it off. Mia was just friendly, bright. She made everyone feel like they were in on something. Except over time, I realized she did treat me differently. She'd save memes just for you, Leo, she'd say, shoving her phone in my face. She'd forward me random articles at 2 a.m. about some topic we'd spoken about once. When I went home sick one afternoon, she messaged me later asking if I needed anything from the pharmacy. We finally crossed the line from coworkers to something else at another one of those horrible after-work drinks. Our company had hit some quarterly target, and management had decided the best way to celebrate was with lukewarm beer and a cheese platter in the office. The fluorescent lights stayed on. Someone's Bluetooth speaker fought the air conditioning for dominance. I was standing near the snacks, nursing my beer, when Mia appeared at my elbow. "God. This music is giving me hives," she said. "This cheese is giving me existential dread," I replied. "What even is mystery orange cube?" "Violence in dairy form," she said. "Come on." "Where? Anywhere else?" 5 minutes later, we were outside on the fire stairs, sitting on the concrete with our backs against the cool metal, the muffled thump of music traveling through the door. She brought the good brie with her in a napkin. "You know what I realized today," she said, mouth half full. "That you're lactose intolerant. That I'm tired of feeling like I care too much about things other people do for a paycheck," she said. "I get genuinely upset about fonts that cannot be healthy." "I care about fonts too," I said. "Kerning is an art form." She smiled sideways at me. "Yeah, but you also care about numbers. You can detach. I get attached." "You're allowed to care," I said. "It's better than going through life on autopilot, right?" She looked at me for a long second, and her expression softened. "You say that like it's easy," she said quietly. I opened my mouth to ask what she meant, but she shook her head and changed the subject. Later, as we were going back inside, she slipped her hand into mine casually, like it was the most natural thing in the world. My brain short-circuited. We started dating a few weeks after that. No big conversation. One night she just didn't go back to her apartment after we watched a movie at mine, and then that kept happening. Being with her felt at first like someone had turned up the brightness on my life. I know that sounds dramatic, but it's the best way I can describe it. I've always been a bit muted. My friends joke that I was born 35, responsible, a bit anxious, more comfortable planning than improvising. Mia was my contrast. She dragged me to pop-up markets on Sundays, convinced me to try weird food trucks at 11 p.m., decide we needed to rearrange all the furniture at midnight because the energy is off. She wanted to talk about everything: childhood trauma, favorite cartoons, whether souls existed, why some songs made her cry on the bus. "You're too in your head," she told me once, tapping my forehead with her finger. "It's very crowded in there." "It's cozy," I said. "I have spreadsheets." "You have walls," she said. "I want to see what's behind them." And the thing is, she did make me come out from behind them bit by bit. I told her stuff I'd never told anyone, about my dad's heart attack when I was 16, about feeling like I had to be the steady one. After that, the way I'd always picked the safest path because the idea of more sudden chaos made me nauseous. She didn't make fun of me. She squeezed my hand and said, "You were a kid, Leo. You didn't owe anyone stability." We moved in together after 2 years, not because of some grand plan, but because her rent went up and my roommate moved out at the same time. It felt natural. The first few months of living together were chaotic and fun. We fought about stupid stuff like where the mugs should go and whose turn it was to buy toilet paper, but mostly it was good. She filled our tiny apartment with plants and candles and thrift store art. I set up a proper budget and a cleaning schedule on Google Sheets. "This is why we work," she said once, leaning over my laptop while I allocated our expenses. "You keep us alive and I make it cute." We fell into a rhythm. Weekdays were work, gym for me, jewelry orders for her. She'd started her own business on the side by then. Weekends were adventures, which could mean anything from a random road trip to IKEA, depending on her mood. We talked vaguely about the future in that dreamy way couples do. Maybe a house one day, maybe a dog. Kids were a hazy later, topic we'd poke at sometimes and then retreat from. Looking back, there were warning signs that her idea of complete and mine were not the same. Mia always seemed to be chasing something, a new hobby, a new haircut, a new side project. She'd throw herself into things hard for 3 months, then get restless. "I just don't want to feel stuck," she'd say when I asked why she'd suddenly decided to start pottery or join a climbing gym. "You're not stuck," I'd say, "you just don't like sitting still." She'd kiss me and say, "Good thing you do." I didn't hear the ambivalence in that until much later. The guy who supposedly makes her complete, his name is Isaac, 34M graphic designer, runs his own studio, loves vinyl and rides a vintage bike to his co-working space. I know all this not because I've stalked him, okay, not only because I've stalked him, but because for a long time he was just my new friend from the workshop in Mia's stories. It started when she took this creative alignment workshop on a whim. She'd seen an ad for it on Instagram, 3 weekends of finding your authentic voice through art and movement, run by some studio downtown. "It's probably a scam," she'd said, waving her phone at me, "but a scam with snacks and paint. So, an MLM for feelings," I said. She laughed. "Exactly, I want in." I rolled my eyes but told her to go for it. I liked when she had something of her own that wasn't work or us. The first weekend, she came home buzzing. "It was actually amazing," she said, dropping her bag and launching into a full debrief. "We did this exercise where we had to draw our future self without lifting the pencil, and I cried, which was embarrassing, but everyone cried at least once, so it was okay. And they had these phenomenal gluten-free brownies. Oh, and I met this guy Isaac." There it was, the first mention. "Isaac?" I asked, pouring us tea. "Yeah, he's like annoyingly talented," she said, flopping onto the couch. "Does illustration and branding. He was there because he said he felt blocked, which, like, if he's blocked then I'm a brick, but he's cool. He gets the whole making things for money versus making things for yourself struggle." I didn't think much of it. Mia collected people the way some people collect coffee loyalty cards, but his name kept coming up. "Isaac recommended this podcast. Isaac sent me this playlist. Isaac says imposter syndrome is just your ego in reverse." I'm not proud of it, but the first time I saw him, I understood a little why she orbited toward him. There was a small showcase night at the end of their workshop. Partners and friends were invited to see what they'd been working on. I went, obviously. I stood in a white room smelling faintly of incense and acrylic paint, clutching a plastic cup of wine, looking at semi-abstract canvases pinned to the walls. Mia was in her element. She floated around in a long skirt and oversized sweater, introducing me to people, her eyes bright. "This is Leo," she said to a woman with a shaved head and very intense eye contact. "He knows nothing about art, but he's very supportive." I shook hands with strangers, smiled, nodded, pretended to understand phrases like translating the internal into tangible form. And then she pulled me toward a guy standing near the back, flipping through a sketchbook. "Isaac," she called. "This is my partner, Leo, the spreadsheet king." He looked up, smiled, and extended a paint-stained hand. "Hey man," he said. "Nice to meet you. I've heard a lot." "Hopefully good things," I said. "Mostly that you have the patience of a saint," he said, grinning at Mia. "This one is a lot." Mia shoved his shoulder playfully. "Rude, but accurate," she said. He was one of those annoyingly effortless guys. Messy curls, stubble that somehow looked intentional, faded band tee under an open shirt. He had tattoos creeping out from under his sleeves, the kind that look like they all mean something. If I sound bitter, it's because I am, but I can admit when someone has a vibe. He had one. Over the next few months, Mia's friend from the workshop became Mia's friend she sees once a week to co-work at some cafe. "We keep each other accountable," she explained when I raised an eyebrow at her new Thursday routine. "If I try to work from home, I end up on TikTok. Isaac calls me out when I do nothing. It's good." "Can't you just set a timer or something?" I asked. She laughed. "That's not how my brain works, babe. I need people, you know this." To be fair, she did seem more focused. Her jewelry business picked up. She started posting more regularly, experimenting with new designs. At dinners, she'd tell me about this client or that idea, and a lot of sentences started with "Isaac suggested." I tried to be supportive. I told myself it was good she had someone in her creative world who got it. I'm in marketing. I understand support networks and community and all that. But then the emotional stuff started creeping in. One night we were in bed, lights off, both scrolling on our phones. She sighed heavily. "What's up?" I asked. "Nothing," she said. "Mia." She tossed her phone onto the nightstand. "I was just thinking about the workshop," she said. "About how they made us do this thing where we had to describe our core wound, and mine was never feeling enough. And now I'm wondering if I've built my whole personality around filling holes other people left." I blinked in the dark. "That's a lot for 11 p.m. on a Tuesday," I said gently. "Sorry," she said immediately. "I shouldn't dump this on you, you're probably tired." "No," I said quickly. "It's okay, talk to me." She rolled onto her back. "I don't know," she said. "Sometimes I feel like I'm playing the role of fun girlfriend who brings excitement in your life. Like you're the steady one and I'm the glitter. And glitter's fun, but it's also messy and annoying, and everyone eventually decides they want their house clean again." "That's not how I see you," I said. "You're not an accessory, you're my person." She sniffed. "You have your life together," she said. "Job, savings, gym routine, family group chat that isn't a war zone. I feel like the scrappy supporting character in your story." "You are absolutely the main character," I said. She gave a small laugh. "Isaac said something similar," she murmured, "that I keep shrinking myself in relationships." I stared at the ceiling. "Do you talk about our relationship with him?" I asked carefully. "Sometimes," she said defensively. "He's just good at this stuff, emotional language, therapy and whatever, he gets it." "Do you talk about his relationships with me?" I asked. "Isaac is single," she said pointedly. "He doesn't exactly need my advice." That stuck with me. I lay awake long after she started snoring softly, wondering when exactly I'd become a topic in someone else's heart-to-heart. I don't know if there's a specific moment I can point to where I knew she was slipping away. It was more like everything gradually went slightly out of sync. She started staying out later on co-work days. "Sorry we got carried away brainstorming," she'd text at 9:30 p.m. "Be home soon." Soon became 11, then midnight. When I asked who else was there, she'd say, "Just a few people from the studio," in that vague way that made my brain itch. She changed her phone password. "It's just good practice," she said when I raised an eyebrow. "We have client stuff on there now." Her wardrobe shifted too. More black, more creative professional than market girl. She bought a new perfume because I'm leveling up. It was heavier than her usual citrusy scent, something with sandalwood that lingered on our pillows. If this was a movie, this is where I'd have some montage of myself staring at her laughing at her phone, noticing her smiling at notifications, checking her Instagram following list like a detective. In reality, it was less dramatic and more just constant low-level anxiety. I started second-guessing everything. Was I being paranoid, insecure, a controlling boyfriend? Reddit is full of stories where the guy suspects cheating and it turns out he's just projecting. I didn't want to be that guy. So I tried to open a conversation instead of an accusation. "Do you feel okay about us?" I asked one Sunday morning, as we lay in bed with sunlight stripping the sheets. She frowned. "What do you mean?" "I just feel like we've been out of sync lately," I said. "Like you're somewhere else a lot, even when you're here." She sighed, staring at the ceiling. "I've been stressed," she said. "The business, money, everything. I know I've been distracted." "I'm not complaining about you being busy," I said softly. "I just want to know if you're happy with me." She was quiet for a long moment. "I love you," she said finally. "You know that." "That's not quite the same as yes," I replied. My stomach was churning. She turned toward me, eyes shining a little. "I don't know what happy even means right now," she said. "Sometimes I feel full. Sometimes I feel like there's a hole in my chest. Sometimes I feel like I'm faking it in every area of my life. That's not a you problem, Leo. That's a me problem." "Can I help?" I asked. "I don't know," she repeated. We left it there. I told myself it was a phase. Everyone has weird patches. Then came the work party. My new job did a big mid-year thing with partners. Fancy venue, open bar, the kind of event you pretend to hate but secretly enjoy because there are free canapes. Mia came with me in this emerald dress that made half the room stare. Throughout the night she was on. Funny, charming, asking people good questions, making my colleagues wish they were as interesting as the guy who brought her. I watched her tell my boss a story about how she almost set her stall on fire once, and he laughed so hard he spilled his drink. At one point, while she was at the bar, one of my coworkers leaned over and said, "Mate, you've punched above your weight. She's brilliant." I smiled, said something self-deprecating. Inside, I felt a twist of fear. Later that night in the Uber home, she stared out the window while I scrolled mindlessly. "You fit there," she said suddenly. "Fit where?" "In that room," she said. "You know the dress code, the small talk script, the office politics. You're in your element." "I spend 40 hours a week with those people," I said. "You learn the dance." "I don't have a dance," she said. "I just flail and hope people think it's choreography." "They loved you," I said. "Everyone kept telling me how great you are." She made a face. "Yeah, as your plus one," she said. "It's your world, I'm just visiting." "I thought that's how you feel about me at your markets," I said. "We bring each other into our worlds." She didn't answer. Looking back, I think that was one of the moments she filed away under, "We're not on the same path." She wanted a world where she didn't feel like a plus one. The actual breaking point came quicker than I expected. It was the night of the sentence. She'd been weird all week, short replies, a kind of brittle cheerfulness. I kept catching her staring into space, and when I asked what she was thinking about, she'd say nothing in that way that means everything I can't say. That Friday, I finished work early. I swung by the supermarket, grabbed stuff to make her favorite pasta, even bought flowers on a whim, sunflowers, because she liked them and I'm basic. I walked into our apartment at 6:30, arms full, already picturing her expression when she saw the flowers. The living room was unusually tidy. No shoes by the couch, no half-finished jewelry mess on the coffee table. My stomach did a little drop. "Mia," I called. She emerged from the bedroom, already wearing her denim jacket and boots, makeup done in a way that said "I'm going somewhere," not "I've been home all day." Her overnight bag was on the floor by the door. My hands went cold. "Hey," I said, "going somewhere?" She swallowed. "Yeah," she said. "Can we talk?" The cliché made bile rise in my throat. I put the groceries down slowly. "Sure," I said. "What's up?" She didn't sit. She stayed standing near the doorway like she might bolt. Her fingers worried the strap of her bag. "I've been trying to figure out how to say this without hurting you," she began. "Always a good sign," I said before I could stop myself. She winced. "Please let me get this out," she said. My heart was pounding so loudly I could feel it in my ears. I leaned against the back of the armchair because my legs suddenly felt unreliable. She took a deep breath. "I can't stay with you," she said, and just like that the world went very, very quiet. "I've been pretending I can. I've been telling myself I'll grow back into this, that I can make myself fit. But I can't, it's not fair to you." My mouth was dry. "Is there someone else?" I asked, because I'm not stupid and I wanted it out in the open. She looked away. That was answer enough. "Isaac," I said. The name tasted like metal. Her eyes squeezed shut. "I didn't mean for it to happen like this," she said. "How did you mean for it to happen?" I asked, my voice weirdly calm. Slowly, kindly, with less kissing. She flinched. "We kissed once," she said. "A few weeks ago. I felt horrible. I told him we had to stop, but the feeling didn't." "So you decided the problem wasn't cheating," I said slowly. "It was the person you were cheating on." "It's not that simple," she said, tears forming. "I've tried to explain this to myself 100 ways and it always sounds awful, but with him I feel whole. Like all the bits of me that never made sense to you finally have somewhere to go." There it was, the line. "He makes me feel complete," she said, voice cracking on the last word. "It's like he speaks the same language I do without me having to translate. I don't feel like the too much girl next to the stable guy. I just feel like me, and I can't unknow that now." "And I don't do that for you," I said. She shook her head, crying now. "You've done so much for me," she said. "You've given me stability, support, love. You've held me together when I was falling apart. But that's just it, Leo. You hold me together. With him, I don't feel like I'm always breaking." "You're describing a high," I said, hearing my own voice from far away. "The beginning of something. It always feels complete when you haven't yet had to share a bathroom and argue about bills." "I know how that sounds," she said, "like I'm chasing a feeling, but it's not just that. It's when we talk about the future, he sees the same shape. Travel, projects, not knowing where we'll be next year but being excited by it. When I talk about that with you, you look scared." "I am scared," I said, finally feeling something like anger push through the numbness. "Because that sounds like chaos. Because I've spent half my life cleaning up after chaos. Because I thought we were building something solid, not starring in some bohemian daydream." She nodded miserably. "Exactly," she said. "You want solid, I want something else. I thought I could be okay with solid. I wanted to be, but part of me has felt unfinished for so long. With him, it doesn't." "So your solution," I said slowly, is to blow up this solid thing we've been building and run towards someone who makes you feel complete right now. Yes, she whispered, because staying and pretending would be worse, for both of us. I've been halfway gone for months. You deserve someone whose whole heart is here, not someone who keeps imagining another life. I wanted to scream that she'd never given this a chance since meeting him, that of course this life looked dull compared to the fantasy of the new one, that completeness is something you build yourself, not something someone else hands you like a missing screw. Instead, all I managed was, "How long have you known?" She wiped her cheeks. "Since the workshop ended," she said, "not in words, just in my body. I kept trying to talk myself out of it, but every time I saw him, the way I felt around you got smaller, and I hated myself for that. I still do." "Do you love him?" I forced out. "I don't know," she said immediately. "It's early, it's messy. I'm not doing this because I'm in love with him. I'm doing this because I'm not fully in love here anymore, and it's killing me to pretend. He just made me see it." "He also kissed you," I said, "knowing you were with me." "That's between him and his conscience," she said quietly. "This is between me and you." "Convenient," I said. She let out a choked laugh. "You're allowed to hate me," she said. "I probably would." "I don't hate you," I said, and that was the awful truth. "I wish I did. It would be easier than whatever this is." "I'm so sorry," she whispered. That's when she said it again, more formally, like closing arguments. "I can't stay with you, he makes me feel complete, and the rest you already know." Bag, door, disappearing fast. The thing about being left for someone else is that there's not just one loss. It's layered. I lost her, obviously. I lost the future we'd sketched in half-serious conversations, but I also lost the version of myself I thought I was with her. I spent the first month in what I can only describe as a fog. Work, home, sleep, repeat. My friends tried to rally around me. "Let's get you on the apps," Sam said 2 weeks in, waving his phone. "Best way to get over someone is to get under someone else." I looked at him like he'd suggested joining a cult. "I don't even know who I am without her," I said. "I'm not going to figure it out by trauma dumping on strangers over cocktails." "My sister, who lives interstate, called every few days." "She's an idiot," she said. "You don't leave a guy like you for some dude from a workshop with an undercut and an authenticity complex." "You've never met him," I said. "I don't need to," she replied. "He probably says vibes unironically." "He does, for the record. I hate that I know that. My mum told me in that well-meaning way mums do, that everything happens for a reason, and she must not have been your person. I want to believe that, but it also feels too neat." The worst part was social media. I muted her accounts the day after she left, but the internet is a small village. Mutual friends posted stories from an exhibition. There they were in the background, Mia and Isaac, laughing, leaning into each other, framed art behind them that probably said something profound. A month later, they went officially public. Soft launch style at first, his hand in a photo of her coffee, her reflection in a window in his story. Then a full post, a blurry picture of them on a rooftop, her kissing his cheek, captioned, "Found my missing piece." I stared at that caption until my eyes hurt. Missing piece, complete, same language, different ears. The part of me that still wanted to believe she was fundamentally good kept trying to rationalize. She was unhappy. She was looking for something. She didn't set out to hurt you. The part of me that hurt wanted to screenshot the post and send it to her with, "Was I just a placeholder until this guy finished his workshop?" Instead, I blocked him, archived our photos, and made an appointment with a therapist. Enter Dr. Patel. Grounded, blunt, mid-40s, cardigan game strong. In our second session, after I'd poured out the whole story, she said, when she said he made her feel complete, "What did you hear?" "That I'm incomplete," I said, "that I wasn't enough, that she was waiting for someone better, and he finally showed up." "Okay," she said, "let's unpack that. Do you believe you were a bad partner?" I thought about it, about showing up to her markets, cooking dinner most nights, learning about jewelry findings so I could help with orders, trying to listen when she spiraled. About the times I shut down when she wanted to talk big picture, and the times I prioritized saving over her desire for a spontaneous weekend away. "I wasn't perfect," I said slowly, "but I tried, a lot." "Do you believe trying is the same thing as being enough for someone?" she asked. "I thought it was," I said. "If you love someone and you show up, shouldn't that be enough?" "For a healthy relationship, both partners have to agree on what enough looks like," she said. It sounds like her bar was in a different place. She needed a level of spontaneity, shared chaos, creative alignment that doesn't match your natural temperament. "So it's compatibility," I said flatly. the world's least comforting word. It's also timing, she added. She met someone who reflected back to her the version of herself she wanted to lean into more. Instead of grieving the parts of your relationship that didn't fit that version, she ran toward the mirror. That's not a moral judgment, it's an observation. Feels pretty moral from where I'm sitting, I muttered. She handled it poorly, Dr. Patel said. She allowed something with him to develop while still with you. She owed you honesty earlier, but her feeling more complete with him doesn't mean you were lacking pieces. It means she's outsourcing her sense of self to others. That's not sustainable for her either. I hadn't thought of it like that. I'd only ever seen it as me being the wrong shape. Over the next few months, I started slowly reclaiming parts of my life that had been shaped around us. I rearranged the furniture, not as a symbolic new me thing. I just genuinely realized I hated where the couch was, but it helped. Nights feel different when the room looks different. I took her plants to my mum's house because I couldn't keep them alive and I couldn't watch them die. I went back to hobbies I'd quietly dropped. I started playing guitar again, fingers clumsy on chords I used to know. I signed up for a five-a-side soccer team with some guys from work, even though I hadn't played properly since uni. The first game I tripped over my own feet and someone yelled, "Nice one, mate." But afterwards, running around in the cold night air, I felt something close to okay, maybe even a tiny spark of my own completeness that had nothing to do with anyone else. People ask if I'd take her back if she showed up tomorrow, saying she'd made a mistake. 6 weeks ago, if you'd asked me that, I'd have hesitated. There's a part of you that always wants the person who knew your morning coffee order and the exact way you like your back rubbed when you're sad. Now I don't think I could, not because I've magically healed and become above it, but because I can't unknow what she did either. Every time she'd say, "I love you," I'd hear, "Until someone makes me feel more complete." I'd be checking constantly, am I enough today? I don't want to live like that. I don't want to be someone, almost their safety net, their understudy. I'm trying to learn that complete is not a feeling someone else bestows on you like a medal. It's boring sometimes. It's going to the dentist and doing your taxes and working on your communication issues in therapy instead of starting over with someone new every time that spark dims. It's knowing what you value on your own without mirroring someone else's dream. I still miss her, the individual her, not the romanticized idea. I miss how she'd narrate other people's lives under her breath in public. I miss her weird faces when she tried new food. I miss her humming off-key while she worked. I miss the way she'd put her cold feet on my calves in bed and yell "radiator" like that justified it. I also don't miss the constant feeling that I was holding my breath, waiting for the next big idea, the next project, the next thing that might sweep her away. I don't miss being scared to say, "I don't want to do that," because I didn't want to be the guy who held her back. If you've made it this far, thanks for reading my ramble. I guess I'm posting because I'm stuck on that line. He makes me feel complete. Has anyone here had their ex say something similar, that you weren't enough, that someone else completed them? How did you stop carrying that like proof you're fundamentally lacking? How do you build a sense of complete that doesn't disappear the second someone walks out with a packed overnight bag and a better matching dream?